why not experience things when I'm young? Or how do I reconcile the fact that I want to have experiences while my body's young and I can run and do these things, but also save for the future?
Right.
Like, I'm not going to sacrifice that.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not on a mission to take away your fun. So that's number one. I'm on a mission to provide you with basic habits that you can put into place today that will create freedom, not just in retirement, but from now until retirement. And so I think that you can still have fun and you can still experience. I think you need to define what those areas are, because you really can't do it all. You have a limited amount of income based on the job that you have. So I think you just have to develop a plan and budget. Everyone hates that word, but in whatever form that looks like for you, you need to sit down and look what your money is, your income is. Take out the taxes, because a lot of people go off the gross amount that they're earning. Oh, my employer said my salary is X, so I have that amount to spend. No, you don't. You have taxes, insurance, you have various things that are going to come out, and so you need to sit down, take those expenses out, and then figure out where the rest of the money is going. And that builds some margin, that creates some areas where you can experience and enjoy life.
So to the Gen Z, maybe they're a student, maybe they're just recently out of college and stepping into the workforce. What do you think is the single greatest money habit that they can start now that are gonna have the highest ROI, I guess, throughout the rest of their lives?
I think it's automating saving and investing. I think that's simple. And everybody's automating, by the way. All of us do. If you look at Spotify, Netflix, and Amazon Prime, we're all automating nowadays. We don't necessarily realize it. If you go on your app, you can look at your subscriptions and what you're already automating. I think if you need to do the same thing with your saving and investing, and it can be as little as $25 a month.
So wait, everyone. Like all the financial advice, everyone is saying like, you should be investing, you should be in saving, but like no one's ever told me to, okay, take that $25 and they just say invest it. Like no one ever says where, no one says how to do it, no one says, so like if I gave you $1,000 right now, like what would be step A, you have the money in your hand, step Z, we've invested it.
Yeah.
What are we doing with it? Like how?
Yeah.
How do we invest?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned $1,000. If you gave me $1,000 and that's the only $1,000 I had, that's my emergency fund. So step A would be create an emergency fund and have that set aside for unexpected things that invariably happen. So,
and that's just in a random savings account somewhere.
Yeah, just a high yield savings account. Savings account at your bank, checking account if you can avoid spending it. Just have that set aside so that if something breaks down or you need some tires or something like that, you have it set aside and you're not going to have to go into debt to pay for those unnecessary expenses. And then beyond that, that's where so that's more on the short-term needs, kind of the unexpected surprises. Beyond that, you have more intermediate needs and you have kind of longer-term retirement goals. And if you're working and your employer has a 401k, oftentimes now pensions have become obsolete. That's kind of our grandparents' form of retirement. Yeah. Those have become obsolete. So nowadays, employers, for retention purposes, have created 401ks, and they're matching those contributions that their employees are contributing on their behalf. So, $50,000 income. If you contribute 5%, for instance, 5% of your $50,000 income, that's $2,500 a year, approximately $48 a week, which is doable, or should be doable. And then if you're contributing that and your employer matches that 5%, they're putting in an additional $2,500 in addition to yours. So that's 100% return on your money day one.
That's a pretty good investment.
That's a pretty good investment. So that's what I would do, and we can get into the weeds of various ways of whether pre-tax versus post-tax, Roth, traditional, that sort of thing. But that would be the first place to start because that's 100% return on your money. Beyond that, you could do like a Roth IRA, set up on an online brokerage, or go if you have a trusted CFP, Certified Financial Planner, that you want to work with. They can help set you up a Roth IRA as well. That's after-tax money, so money that's already been taxed that hits your checking account, bank account. You can then put that money into the Roth. And the neat thing about that is it's going to grow tax-free. And so by the time you start pulling that out, say in retirement, all of that money, all the growth that you've had is going to be completely tax-free. And the one thing to keep in mind there is the IRS is limiting the individuals that can contribute to something like a Roth IRA. And I always tell people, if the IRS or the government is putting a cap on income for certain individuals to participate in a program like that, normally it's a good idea to participate if you're able. So as long as especially if you're young and your income is not over that limit, it's a good opportunity to contribute to a Roth. Because I personally think tax rates are going to go up. So if you can then later pull that out without having to pay taxes, that's great. It's a great opportunity.
Okay, so just to tie a bow on this, Gen Z advice. What outside of, maybe this is your answer, but if there's one piece of advice specifically to someone who just got their first entry-level job, right? Or the first job doing whatever out of high school. So you talked about investing, you talked about how important that is, and that was the one piece of advice you gave for that. But changing gears from that specifically, you were incredibly successful, still are incredibly successful financial planner. You as a Christian, there's this weird sort of tension between Christians having money and having worldly success versus the Christians that are success is bad, I need to give all my money away. What do you have to say to kind of marry those two ideas of this Christian who's just hey, you shouldn't be pursuing wealth, versus the other side that is just no, you should?
Yeah, I guess it depends on how you define it. I don't like the phrase you should pursue wealth. I do think that you should use the gifts that God has given you to, number one, serve others. And if you can get paid for serving others, if you develop a good product or a good service and you're able to help a bunch of people and you make a lot of money because of that, that's great if you know what to do once you do earn it. And so I think that's the disconnect, is there are a lot of people that God's gifted them and they've developed a great product or a great service and they make a lot of money, but it's what they do after earning that money. That's the problem. And they're doing really good stuff with that money. And so I think that's the key, is just the heart of that individual. And so I think that it's easy. Sometimes I think it can become an excuse for people to shrink back and avoid success. Because they say, well, God doesn't want me to be wealthy, or I don't want to be judged because of my wealth. I think, it talks about the talents in the Bible too. I think that a lot of people use that as an excuse to shrink back, and they're really not pursuing the call in their life that God's given them.
So do you think those people would be burying, because he gave 10 talents, 5 talents, 3 talents, and then he gave the last guy 1, and then he just went and buried it, and then that's the guy who got scolded. Do you think those people are burying their treasure, so to speak?
100%. And it's not even the money or the income that they're missing out on, it's the service that they were providing too. If someone, they reach a certain level of income and they say they want to retire at 40, number one, they're not going to be making any more income. They're going to be draining their accounts. They're not going to be able to give as much, more than likely, and they're not going to be serving as much. Now, I'm not sure they can volunteer, and I'm sure there'll be people that would argue that. But whatever got them to that point, they were probably doing a pretty good service.
Right.
And so I think that's part of it too.